Good evening, viewer, and welcome to episode 15 of SOTD, which covers the 14th round of games in the English Premier League. You'll be glad to know that this is the penultimate train wreck before the World Cup starts in that Qatar place that's world renowned for its football heritage and history. SOTD are not covering the World Cup, which means I get to go home for 3 or 4 weeks because I have no viewers. Therefore, the Qatarians are not going to give me a few £1,000,000 to tell my viewers how wonderful their country and human rights records are. Next week, I'm going to weigh in hard on other broadcasters who spend their waking hours bleating on about the outrageous way immigrant builders and gays are treated in Qatar, as they prepare to fly out for an all-expenses-paid jolly to wax lyrical about how fantastic this year's corrupt World Cup is. You know who you are, you jug-eared cunt, along with David Beckham, Gary Neville and others. Jesus, with backbones that weak, they'll probably end up as the next batch of FIFA officials. Our first game this week saw Nottingham Forest host Brentford, for the game to end in a 2-2 draw. Pork pie. Cooper took the lead, lost the lead, settled for a draw. How's it going?
Well, for the first 35 minutes, we were excellent. Unfortunately, a game of football is 90 minutes. Therefore, we were terrible.
Any views on the penalties?
If they give one penalty, they have to give 4 penalties.
Even if the penalty shouts are not valid shouts?
I don't know if the penalties were penalties, but if you give one, you have to give 4.
Okay, randomly moving on, Thomas Frank went behind, levelled it, took the lead, then lost the lead. Are you taking the vacant job at Brighton? Well, we got a few players out injured, and of course there are suspensions as well, so we're not running with our best squad. But still, we managed to grind out a draw today. Okay, what about the impending vacancy at Leicester in the event that they sack Brendan during the World Cup? Will you be managing them in the new year? And then, of course, there was the pre-match incident where one of the ground staff injured our goalkeeping coach. They shouldn't be on the pitch, full stop. On the issue of answering questions not asked, you should quit football and get into politics. Gary! Wolves hosted Brighton, and the game ended in a 3-2 win for Brighton. Neither team has a manager, which moves us on to Manchester City, who hosted Fulham and technically beat them 2-1. Pork pie? Guardiola, tell me, is it a very big sponsorship deal that was signed prior to the game? Mr. Pork Pie, we are Manchester City. We are Etihad. We don't have no sponsor. I wasn't talking about the club. I was talking about one of your players. Which player and which sponsor? Kevin De Bruyne and Speedos, because that was a blatant dive given that virtually no contact was made. The boy went down in instalments. But VAR, look at the incident and... Marco! I feel your pain, mate. That game should have ended in a 1-1 draw, mate. You was fucking robbed, mate.
That's okay, mate. These things happen, mate.
Gary! Mate. Turns out that it's not just this year's Winter World Cup that's corrupt. Moving on, Leeds United hosted managerless Bournemouth. The game ended in a 4-3 win for Leeds, but Bournemouth still have no manager, which moves us on to Everton hosting Leicester. Leicester won the game 2-0, but I can't be fucked with either side right now, as they're a pair of bottom feeders and neither teams will go anywhere so long as their current managers are in place, as Frank Lampard lacks the experience to have consistency, while Brendan Rodgers just lacks. Chelsea hosted Arsenal, who beat Chelsea 1-0, which means at this rate, Gooners are going to be fucking unbearable for the rest of this year. Pork pie? What now? Would you like to interview Mickey Arteta? No, I would not. Why's that then? 'Cause Arteta has been sitting on top of the Premier League for 4 solid months and he's only just decided to announce the fact that his club are now title contenders, which puts him in the same class as Ray Charles and Stevie fucking Wonder, as everybody else with a working pair of eyes
have seen the arse people as contenders for at least 2 or 3 months now.
So do you think Arsenal will win the Premier League this season?
Of course I fucking don't. Manchester City are going to win the league, which makes Arteta's statement today even more stupid.
How so?
Because the key word is contender. It merely means they'll be up there with Manchester City. Newcastle United are contenders. Tottenham Hotspur are contenders. Everyone's a bloody contender. There's only going to be one winner, that's Manchester City.
Well spotted, that man. So, will you interview Harry Potter?
No, I will not.
Oh, please do. He came out and said they huffed and puffed, so you'd be straight off the mark with a tie-in to the Three Little Pigs.
Gary.
Okay. Well, Aston Villa hosted Manchester United and... Really? Villa beat United 3-1? Pork pie?
Oh, hello, and welcome back to the Premier League, your idol Dick Emery.
Yeah, all right there, boy.
So, first game back, you play Man United and score all 4 goals in a 3-1 win. You've got Gerrard's old job as well as Gerrard's new voice. How are you settling in?
Well, it's been kind for the horses and all, like, but I've got to say that this is only one other week until the games before the break-up of the World Cup. So we'll crack on to see what happens,
Okay, Eric Two Haag. You scored none of the 4 goals in your 3-1 defeat at the hands of Aston Villa. Are you disappointed?
Oh, of course I'm disappointed.
Are you disappointed with Ronaldo for not being a very good captain, or maybe David De Gea for being a very bad goalkeeper, or possibly Anthony Martial for not being a very good goal scorer?
No, I'm disappointed with the Aston Villa players.
How can you be disappointed with the Aston Villa players?
I'm disappointed that they did not score 2 more own goals, and that's the point from this game.
Gary!
Lords and lordy. Okay, Southampton hosted Newcastle United and lost the game 4-1.
Brought by Ralphie Boy.
Shit.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no.
It's been a good run, Pork Pie.
No, please, not Ralph. Ralph,
It's Hasenhudel.
Ha 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 ha. Need your touch. Godspeed your love. Ooh, me.
Keep your face, Pork Pie. I will always love you.
Moving on. Eddie Howe, you bastard! You just killed Ralph
Yeah, sorry about that, Mr. Pork Pie. Mr. Hasenhudel was a top bloke, very decent manager.
Oh, fuck off and get yourself some floors so that we can take the piss out of you after the World Cup.
Are there any particular flaws you'd like me to acquire, Pork Pie?
Become an alcoholic. Start sniffing the devil's dandruff. Get out on the town with a few prostitutes. Use your own imagination, for fuck's sake. Gary?
There has to be something we can do to Eddie Howe to make him more interesting. Maybe I'll hook up with David Ginola this week and pick his brains for ideas. He spent time at St James's Park. West Ham hosted Crystal Palace and won the game 2-1. Pork Pie? Pork Pie? Hello? Earth calling Pork Pie? Okay, he's sulking because West Ham have lost again. Which brings us to our final game of the week as the mighty Spurs hosted the thieving Scousers, who robbed the mighty Spurs by 2-1. Go home, Pork Pie. I've got this one. Jurgen Klopp will no doubt give you a lift in his chopper. You cannot argue with Antonio Conte's record, as Conte is a serial winner, so calling for him to be sacked is utter nonsense. However, Spurs fans do have a valid point with their criticisms, as they are consistently dogshit for the first 45 minutes of their games, which means there is some scope for calling out Conte as a potentially bad tactician, in that
Kulishevsky has been out for several weeks and on his return against Liverpool was never going to play a full 90-minute game, which begs the question, if Kulishevsky is only going to play for 20 or 30 minutes, why not make him start the game, which would put Tottenham on the front foot, probably allow them to go 1 or 2 goals up, at which point Kulishevsky could have been substituted and the last 60 minutes would have been a defensive issue for Spurs rather than an offensive issue for Spurs. I'll see you next week for our final pre-World Cup show. Good night.
Harry Maguire!